Hi there, my name is Scott Arthur, and right now I'm the Transport and Environment Committee convener here in Edinburgh. And next week is going to be our first committee meeting of 2024. Exciting times. And the papers for that have been published today. So this is just a quick overview of what we'll be discussing. So first and foremost, we'll be talking about setting up an Accessibility Commission for Edinburgh. So this acknowledges that Edinburgh is going to go through incredible changes in terms of transport in the coming decade or so as we accommodate massive growth in and around the city, tens of thousands of houses getting built, cut congestion, reduce non-essential vehicle use, and also reduce our climate emissions. But we have to do that in a just way. So we have to make sure that people on low income are protected, but we also have to make sure that people who have mobility problems or disabilities are protected as we go through this transition as well. And so we're setting up this commission, which will be chaired, I hope, by a lady called Zara Todd, to look at our policies as we develop them, and hopefully steer us in the right direction where possible, where needed. So Zara and the Commission will be independent in the Council, and we won't be able to influence either what they look at or their remit. And one of the reasons we're doing this, of course, is because in recent years we haven't always got this right as a city. So it's about learning from this and making sure we don't repeat some of the mistakes of the past. A second report coming to the committee next week looks at air quality. This is data for 2022, and it shows that by and large Edinburgh is now meeting the minimum air quality standards set by the Scottish Government. Obviously 2022 was a bit of a transition year in terms of us coming out of the pandemic, but nonetheless that the data is useful and it's good to see air quality improvement. I think part of that improvement has been driven by people preparing for the low emission zone, which enforcement starts on the 1st of June this year, so something to look forward to. I was just in an interview with STV about it actually. I think they're going to air it on Monday evening. And of course we have to remember that whilst we're meeting that minimum air quality standard which is set by the Scottish Government, we're nowhere near the guidelines set by the World Health Organisation. So whilst those of us who are in good health, we don't really feel air quality problems in Edinburgh. Young people, old people, and people with certain health conditions are really affected by even this improving air quality in Edinburgh. So I think we have to continue on this journey focused on improving air quality without a doubt. Something else we'll hear an update on is the Cllr Connections project. So this is a trial road safety scheme been undertaken in Cllr, including the name I guess, or some people call it an LTN, a low traffic neighbourhood. So it's fair to say there's been mixed reviews on this scheme. The last time it was discussed at committee, we had a community group for the scheme and a community group against the scheme, both giving the committee quite valuable feedback. And I've also reflected on the fact that I do occasionally get emails from people on this scheme, and quite a lot of those people who contact me don't actually live in the area, but perhaps want to drive through on the way to somewhere else. So what the council's done, thinking about who we're getting feedback from on this scheme, is they've undertaken a survey of people who actually live in the area to find out what they think about it. So this survey, there's a lot in the survey, so it's worth looking at the report. There's things that the council has to reflect on, but there is a lot of positives in it. And what it shows is that 49% of people, and it's as much as possible, it was a demographically representative sample of people who live in the area. 49% of them support the scheme, with 24% being against. The rest were undecided. So we've got 2-to-1 support for the scheme there. 81% of people support the widening of footpaths. 74% of people support the narrowing of roads. Of course, the two come hand in hand. And I think the most important finding in the whole report for me, and it's quite a subtle one, is there's been a big increase in the number of parents who live in the area. who think it's now safer for their kids to walk to school. And I think that's really, really important, because so many people in Edinburgh, so many parents can't say that. So that's moved from 21% thinking it's safe to 41%. So really an important result there, I think. But there's a lot in that report. If you've gotten interested in that scheme, either because you live there or because you have views on it, it's worth having a look. We have also got an update on East London Street, which is a road adjacent to Lothian Bus's main bus garage, where the residents feel that the noise of buses going down that street is creating problems for them. So the report it's looked at traffic data for the street. It's found that the traffic levels are far lower than 2019. I think that's because the tram works have now moved on. It's finding that vehicles by and large are sticking to the speed limit. It's shown that only 2.2% of vehicles on the street are buses, and it talks about how the council's working with Lothian Buses to perhaps look at alternative arrangements for some of those buses to access the bus garage. Part of the issue is the condition of the road there, so there's prices for either removing the sets on the street and replacing it with asphalt. That comes in at between 0.6 and 0.8 million, or completely replacing the sets, well, with sets, like for like replacement. That comes in between £1 and £1.3 million. And let's be honest, this is not money the council has right now. And I think there's a huge list of streets that need resurfaced right across this city. So I think whilst the work that is needed on East London Street, I think it does have to be prioritised amongst those other streets. But that'll be a decision for the committee to make, of course, not mine. There's also an update on the strategic review of parking, or controlled parking zones, if you want to call them that. Since I became convener, I've spoke to quite a few residents who have controlled parking zones in there, or have had them implemented where they live, and a lot of them haven't felt that they've been kept well informed as the controlled parking zone work was being designed and implemented over the past few years. So the report reflects on that, and it does accept that maybe we should look at how we're disseminating information and look at options to improve that. So it's really good to see that, actually. And linked to parking, we've also got a report on some of the unacceptable parking we've seen along the tram line, which have led in some occasions to the tram service having to be stopped. It's good to see there's data there which shows the situation is improving, but there's still more to be done, and the report looks at options for dealing with some of the issues, including procuring specialist vehicles, and also, perhaps having to remove parking spaces if businesses or residents don't use them more responsibly. And the last thing last thing on my list of reports here is what's called the Major Junctions Review. So I'm just changing hands. It's what's called the Major Junctions Review. And so this looks at 40 of the most challenging junctions in the city, and a big driver for that was road safety concerns at some of these junctions, and how we can make them safer and operate better. The report reaffirms that we want to move as quickly as possible on the Sir Harry Road, Kings Road, Portobello High Street junction, where we've had 2 deaths in recent years. It's completely unacceptable, actually, and obviously, heartbreaking for people to be dying on the roads. And in a city like Edinburgh, which is actually quite a small city, the whole city feels it when these things happen. So we have to do more to improve road safety there and elsewhere. The other junctions, the other 39 junctions, they're going to incorporate data from our circulation plan work, which is going to decide where the priority routes are in the city for different modes of transport. It's going to take data from that work to inform the improvements at these other 39 junctions. So that's my recap of what we're doing at the committee next week. Hopefully you can see it's quite busy, and there is, as ever, quite a lot happening. And that pace of change, that pace of work is going to continue this year, and I think at the next committee, the one after the next one, the February one, we'll actually publish the results for that at the end of January, is going to be one of the biggest so far in terms of the decisions we're making. It will have details of our next proposed tram route for the city, one that will link, now let me get this in the right order, Granton, the Western General Hospital, the city centre, Edinburgh University, the Royal Infirmary, the Bio Quarter and beyond. So a huge project for the city, one I think which will double the capacity of the existing network, existing tram network. So we'll publish details of that and also about how we're going to consult with businesses and residents on how we take that forward. And I've already had, quite good discussions with Transport Minister about that project, about how we want to work with them on that to make sure we get the right project for the city, and also about how it could be funded, of course. And the other thing we'll speak about at the committee is something that we've been speaking about in Edinburgh ever since I moved here in 1996, and that's removing non-essential traffic from the city centre as much as possible. So it's still about ensuring that people have access if they're residents or if they're delivering to businesses, etc., but trying as much as possible to cut the amount of non-essential traffic cutting through the city centre, to make the city centre a better place to be, a better place to live, because we do want people to continue to live in the city centre, a better place to do business and a better place to visit. And we'll publish those plans at the end of this month. And this is going to be huge for the city, and it's going to be transformative. And I'm optimistic, and I do think the committee will approve what's planned there, because there's a lot of thought behind how we get this right. The only uncertainty right just now is about the pace that we go through to do this. We could choose to move quickly, because we do have a commitment to reduce vehicle use in the city, non-essential vehicle use in the city by 30% by 2030. So we could choose to go quickly and hopefully implement this over a 2 or 3 year period, or we could take a more phased approach. And so that's the key uncertainty, is about the pace of change, not about whether or not we do this, but how we do this and how we can do this in a way that's right for Edinburgh. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, a particular concern I have right now is how we do it without having any negative impacts on the movement of public transport through the city. Sorry, I've just spotted someone. So really important for the city. Okay, any questions, just leave a comment below. Okay, bye for now.